Welcome back to Colts Law. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Loyalist. And as you see, I have with me for this Patriots breakdown for the 2022 season, I got producer Mike, co-host over there at the DPN. What's going on, Mike? How you doing?
Not too much. Doing well. What's going on, fellas?
Chuck?
Oh, not too bad. Sweltering in the 4th of July heat and stuff, but the family's out swimming and my nephew's learning how to swim for my son, and so they're having their hands full this week.
Interesting. Well, it's
Nice.
as you guys know, we've already talked about. We are recording on a Sunday, which means tomorrow is the 4th of July. So please, I hope everybody has a very safe but happy 4th of July. Don't run around and light fireworks and then sit on them or something. That'd be terrible. That'd be terrible. If you do, make a video so we all can see it.
I was
Okay.
gonna say they'll be out there.
Yeah, right. Okay, guys. So we're going to break down the New England Patriots this year. And first and foremost, we should probably do is go ahead, jump into the actual roster that they have this coming season. Up. All right. So we got some new additions. Obviously, one of the big names that they pulled off this year was Devontae Parker, which was an amazing because they already were spending so much money at the wide receiver position this year with Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar and a few others. Obviously, they still have Jacoby Myers, which was I'm very happy to see. I think he's one of their better receivers out there. N'Keal Harry. Let's just say we could talk about other receivers.
Yes.
Trent Brown, Strange Cole, David Andrews, Mike Onwenu, sorry, Isaiah Wynn. Big question is Wynn going to be the starting right tackle?
It sounds like they're looking to move him over to right tackle. There's still some questions, that if there's an availability, he may be traded. He's costing the Patriots a lot of money this year. They picked up his fifth year, and that's $10 million for a guy that's performed adequately, when he's on the field, but he's been injured quite a bit.
Okay. Strange Cole is their first round pick this year. Don't forget, they got a couple tight ends and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Some Patriots will throw out Dalton King and Devin Asiasi. Quarterback Mac Jones, as we all know, was probably the best rookie last year when it comes to quarterbacks. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson. They picked up another running back in Pierre Strong. And then, of course, James White is still on that roster as well. Real quick breakdown of the offense. Chuck, what do you think about this offense heading into this offseason or this season?
Cole Strange, I'm a little curious to see how that works out. Their early round pick this year. I know that was a little bit of a confusing pick, from the outsiders at least, but I'm really intrigued with this wide receivers room and to see how it all shakes up because, like you said, Mac Jones, I felt like he had the best of all the rookies by a landslide, to be honest with you. And the thing is he seemed to be what I thought he would be coming out of the draft. He was stable. He was good. He was intelligent, and he made safe but good decisions and stuff. So I'm just really interested to see what year two looks like with Mac Jones and this wide receivers room.
I'm gonna have to cut this out. Oh my goodness, I breathed down the wrong pipe. Maybe I'll keep it in for a little bit of comedy. Mike, Tyquan Thornton, do you have any information about him and your thoughts about this offense?
Yeah, so Tyquan Thornton, the Patriots picked him up as a burner. The Patriots have had kind of an issue finding a wide receiver that's capable of taking the top off the defense. I think they kind of expected Nelson Aguilar to perform a little bit more in that role. And not that he didn't do that job, but, get a rookie going forward, get somebody a little bit cheaper. Tyquan Thornton had one of the fastest 40 times in NFL history. So, adding speed to that offense is something they've been looking to do desperately for a long time. And the offense as a whole, I think a lot of us are expecting just that. We're expecting more, and we're expecting a lot of this offense. They had a tight end that they paid a lot of money for in Johnny Smith last year that didn't necessarily pan out. They're bringing in Devontae Parker as, an immediate upgrade to N'Keal Harry, which I think everybody's happy about. So hopefully they can manage him and he stays healthy. And we'll see what happens with the offensive line. And of course, the Patriots running back room is like the, ultimate depth chart in the entire league.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing I can look forward to, not just with the new additions, but all these guys that were here last year, pickups from last year, like Nelson, like Kendrick, like your tight ends, Hunter and Jonnu, Ramondre Stevenson, these guys were all here last year. Matt Jones, they have now a year under their belt. They kind of know each other very well. This year will be the year where they get to be able to work on different schemes and stuff with each other. Exactly. This offense should look a lot better than even last year when they did well enough to squeak into the playoffs, right? Let's look at the defense. Not a whole lot going on here. We got some mid to late round picks. They still have Dietrich Wise, Christian Barmore, who I absolutely love. We've got Lawrence Guy, Matthew Judon sitting there. They don't forget, still have Henry Anderson, pick up from the Jets last year, and Devin Godchow. We got Jawan Bentley, Mac Wilson, Malcolm Butler, obviously still there. Kyle Duggar, Devin McCourty round off the safeties, and on the other side, Jalen Mills and Jonathan Jones with some pickups of Marcus Jones and Jack Jones. Can any information on this defense here for me, Mike?
Yeah, so the defense overall, it's going to look a lot different this year in the fact that they just don't have, at least on paper right now, that lockdown corner that we were used to seeing in J.C. Jackson. It looks like that, one of the cornerbacks that they drafted later on, I believe it's Jack Jones. I'm still getting them confused, but it looks like he's emerging a little bit in camp as a really well put together corner. We'll see what happens with that. And then, their safety trio is really going to take a lot of weight as far as I think what most teams linebackers would. We've talked about Bill Belichick really using a different kind of defense and dropping in a lot of safeties and having them play different roles to really confuse a defense. And then, you have Jawan Bentley there now, who's the replacement for Hightower. He's going to be the leader of the up front of that defense. And you still have Devin McCourty, who's the, veteran there, who's been there for, over a decade now, who really commands the respect of that entire team. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what this defense looks like up front and in back this year. It's going to be very different than we've been used to seeing.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have had that number one lockdown corner for years, right? Before J.C. Jackson, we all know who you had there. He's over on the Colts now. I forgot to bring up the big safety pickup on the defense this year, Jabril Peppers. At least I think it's a big pickup. I thought Peppers really was a really good player, just on a team that, with the Giants, just completely and utterly disappointed. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, Loyalist.
Yeah, I like. I think it's ironic or funny, I guess, to see how Bill Belichick took keeping up with the Joneses literally when you look through this roster and stuff. But I'm interested to see how your secondary works out. Like you said, it's a whole overhaul. I mean, like you said, McCourtney's or Duggar's a stud. Kyle Duggar, and I do like the addition of Jabril Peppers. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how your cornerbacks work out this year.
Yeah, I'm not 100%. I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm like, my goodness, man, those three safety looks will be a very interesting situation, I think, especially if you feel like, you may not have that extra linebacker spot that's just right. I'm looking at some of the numbers. Jack and Marcus Jones, 53, 52. With the new, you could have whatever numbers you want. You got guys like Matthew Judon and Jawan Bentley at 8 and 9 who are linebackers, and then you got safety or cornerbacks that are sitting there with 52, 53. It's just weird. So with that, we are going to we have finished with the roster. We're now going to go into. Hey guys, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time I go live. Don't forget, you can also share this video to your favorite social media, and please open up that description of the video. In there, you find a link to my Patreon, which is only $5 a month. Get all of my content plus Patreon specific content, and of course, my merch shop right here. The actual season. So Mike, why don't you give us a little bit of information about what you think the strengths and weaknesses of the team currently are going into the season?
Sure. So number one, I think a strength of this team, and it's going to sound kind of, silly, but, for a second-year quarterback, I think it says a lot. I think Mac Jones, mentally and physically, as far as toughness is concerned and leadership, I don't think there are any questions there at the quarterback position. There may be some questions about overall ability and ceiling, but I think that's, one of the strengths that the offense is going to have. They're going to be able to rely on a good, steady signal caller if, and this is a different discussion, if his signal caller doesn't necessarily sabotage him, or lack of signal caller, I should say. And then we will go into the defense, and I will say I think regardless of what this defense may look like on paper, I think you still have Bill Belichick. I think he's still going to coach this defense up to give you a satisfactory or a defense that will allow you to compete, because that's just what he does. And then
that is interesting. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Sure.
Could that really cut into his overall play calling, Bill Belichick not having an OC and having to deal with both at the same time?
I don't think Bill Belichick is going to do most of the play calling. I think there's going to be some time spent, or more time spent during the week game planning with the offense potentially, but I think he's going to leave it to Joe Judge and Matt Patricia on game day to call. I think, he knows he has smart people there. I think it would just detract too much from the defense that I think is going to still need his help. Not that I don't not trust Gerard Mayo or his son, but I think Bill Belichick is always going to be better suited to coaching defense as opposed to trying to start coaching offense, at 70 years old on game day for the first time, in 20 years since he was a tight ends coach.
Okay.
Or probably 30 years.
All right. Well, let's get a look into real quick the schedule right now. As you can see, we're looking at the preseason. We got a couple preseason games. The Giants come to the Patriots, the Panthers come to the Patriots, and then the Patriots go to the Raiders. But they start off right off the bat walking into Miami, which they always have issues going into Miami. And then they go into Pittsburgh. We'll go see how this offense really is, because that's a scary defense.
Yes,
they host the Ravens, which again will be interesting with a healthy Lamar Jackson and that revamped Ravens offense, possibly healthy running back room too. The Patriots then go to Green Bay, then they host the Lions, then they go to Cleveland. Don't even know who the quarterback's going to be at that point.
Right.
Then they host the Bears. Then they go to the Jets. They host the Colts on November 6th. They host the Jets after that. Then they head over to the Vikings on November 24th at 8:20 p.m. That must be the Thanksgiving game, maybe.
It must be, yeah. Late night Thanksgiving game. Yep.
Yeah. We got the Bills then hosting or going to the Patriots. Then the Patriots go to Arizona. Patriots then go to the Raiders on December 18th, my dad's birthday. The Bengals then come into New England or Foxborough on the day before Christmas Eve, 1:00.
Yep.
And then they finish it off hosting the Dolphins and then going to Buffalo. That game has yet to be determined because it could very well have a big impact on, playoff seeding and such. So, real quick, for Loyalist, what are some games that stick out to you on this?
Well, I mean, honestly, you look at all the primetime games, 5. They got 5 primetime games,
Maybe
and,
6.
Oh, because of the last one there against Buffalo. That's right. If that's a meaningful game, And like you said, you look at what the Patriots have brought and stuff, and I don't question the whole coaching with Bill Belichick, and this may be me being naive, but I feel like Belichick's going to sort it out and work it out to the best for the organization. So, I'm there again. I'm just looking at what is this defense going to look like to some of these high-powered offenses and stuff, and for me, the biggest question mark is how do they fare against Miami? Because we talked about how Miami had all this splashy, whereas Bill Belichick did what Bill Belichick does, that methodical growth and development and stuff. So I'm interested to see how those 2 Miami games shake out this year, because I think that'll go a long way to let us know. Because for me, New England and Miami are like neck and neck. I'm not sure which one's going to take that second spot.
Mike?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Loyalist here. Those Miami games are going to be key. I think obviously the Patriots need to be able to steal a game from Buffalo, and they need to be careful, obviously within the division that the Jets, and I know it's going to sound silly to some people, but the Jets don't sneak up on anybody and actually decide to be good this year, which they had a great draft. They showed some potential last year, so we'll see what happens there. The game that sticks out to me is probably one of the biggest games of the year too, is obviously the Raiders game. You have Josh McDaniels there. He's going to have something to prove. That offense on paper and that defense are lights out. So, that's going to be a very interesting game. That's going to be akin to the Tampa game last year for me. It's going to be a marquee game. It's going to be very interesting. We'll see what happens with the Patriots this year. I think they have a lot to prove. I think this is not the year that they necessarily need to go out and prove that they can, be that Patriots team of old, but, prove that they can kind of use these pieces, both, the ones they brought in last year and the ones they brought in this year, and really, put down another roadblock as far as what they're building here.
Yeah, to me, as we get ready to transition into what our floors and ceilings are for this team, I just want to say this team looks completely different when it comes to, people, the players, and stuff, than what it was just a couple years ago when a certain quarterback was heading that offense, right? I mean, it looks so much different. Okay, let's one more than that. All right,
my bad.
A few years. We'll say 3. Okay, technically 2 full seasons ago, but All right, so this channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. Floor and ceiling, I'm going to look at this, and it's actually, I think that the Patriots, to me, have a very tight floor ceiling as compared to what a lot of like Miami. I think their floor and ceiling is so far apart, right? We already discussed that earlier. I think the floor for the Patriots literally is around 8 games win. I think that is the floor of this team because they are put together very well. They're very well coached. And, this, like I said earlier with the offense, this is the second year with a lot of these guys in. They should be even better than what they were last year. The problem is the division's gotten better and Buffalo is still Buffalo. With that being said, if they could squeak out a couple wins, like you said, Mike, if they could steal one from Buffalo or Miami and maybe get a couple of those tougher games, like especially in the AFC North, get some of those games out of the way, I think they have a shot at being a 12-win team, legitimately do. But they would have to win some of those games that, a lot of people are going, they might not win that.
Right. Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and let Loyalist go with his, then I'll leave you for last.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I like the 8 for the floor. Because there again, like I said, with Miami, it's like, is Miami going to be discombobulated and not figuring things out? And does, do the Patriots sweep them again, or there again, do they sit there and do all these pieces fit? And does the head coach do a phenomenal job? There's just so many question marks with Miami. But like you said, you look at some of those schedules like that short turnaround to the Raiders game. I forgot all about that one. That's a tall task to sit there and look at. So for my ceiling, I put that around the 11 or 12 game also. Okay.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to say the Patriots have, I don't know, probably a floor of about 7 wins this year, and we'll see what goes. Probably a ceiling of about 12. I wouldn't expect them to win both games against Buffalo, and then they do play some other teams in there that I really do think that are they're just better equipped. You look at that Cincinnati game. I think Baltimore is always a hard out to play. Lamar is always hard to play, and he's going to be healthy. They're, like you said, they're going to have their running back room this year. That's always a hard game plan. So, we'll see what happens there. But, everybody counts them out. They could very well go on a roll like they did last year. The Patriots have always been a hot hand offense, the way Bill Belichick coaches them, because he drills into them like, okay, we lost, move on, just keep stacking the good days. So we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you again, Mike, for joining us and give us a little bit of insight for the Patriots. Loyalist, as usual, you are awesome sitting here with me. And guys, go check out producer Mike over on DPN on YouTube. And I don't know, does he do that audio podcast?
So we still do the stuff on Wednesdays, and then Ray is still doing some micro content for Newsbreak and stuff like that. So come and check him out. RayRoute.com. He posts most of his stuff there. You can find a link to all of our stuff, whether it be his recordings or our stuff on YouTube. So
all right. Well, thanks again. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. With me as usual was Loyalist, with special guest producer Mike. And until next time, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.